Simone, they've caught us.
Oh no.
The penis stealing, it's gone too far. We let our hand slip.
Damn it.
I'll read this. This is a quote from a Scott Alexander piece, which I found pretty shocking. And we're going to go into this case in detail and then go over the history of penis stealing, which is to say that the pronatalists are penis stealers now. Penis stealing witch update. A French diplomat in the Central African Republic is accused of, quote, having organized a vast penis theft operation in the country, end quote. More information here, which describes a QAnon-style conspiracy in which Western countries concerned about falling birth rates are stealing Africans' penises in order to harvest hormones via nanotechnology.
We
got a full tank of dicks.
If you have nanotechnology, can't you just leave the penises on and then do the science inside the penis?
No. There's like reports that we're going to read about of like trucks filled with penises.
Okay.
Driven out of the country.
Wow.
And people are like, I've seen it. I've seen the trucks. And it's all about
the penis trucks.
What I love about this is it's all downstream of fears about fertility rates as a country that isn't having those fears right now is being exposed to them. And how are they reacting to them? They're like, oh, people in Europe and America are freaking out about their fertility rate being too low. They're coming for our penises.
Well, they're right, but in the wrong way, right? As you point out, all these wealthy, developed countries are heading into demographic collapse. It's real. It's a genuine problem. And they're saying, don't worry, we'll just depend on immigrants from high fertility countries and like those in Africa for our labor workforces and for everyone else.
Well, really only Africa, because Latin America is going into fertility collapse right now. The only
exactly. And so
high fertility rates.
Their motivation is going to be to keep these African countries poor and therefore very high fertility.
Sorry,
because
add a note to what you just said. Countries only stay above repopulation rate on average, even within Africa, when the average citizen is earning less than 5,000 USD per year. So if you wanted to use them as like human farms, which it appears is like Europe's going plan right now, which is horrifying to me that this is the not racist plan. But anyway, they cannot allow them to develop.
Mm-hmm. And so basically there should be a genuine fear in Africa of being exploited for fertility. And what do we have? Fear of being exploited for fertility. Penis stealing thing. I mean, we'll say it's metaphorical, right? It's metaphorical penis stealing. What they really mean to say is,
I'm going to be honest here, Simone.
Okay.
If it was possible by nanotechnology to take a person's penis, derive some hormone from it, and then use that hormone to make your own penis larger, there would be a black market.
No.
And it would predominantly be operational in Africa because there's less laws. I'm just saying, enough people want bigger penises that there would be enough demand for a black market for human penises.
Yes, but we're talking about fertility, not penis size. Bigger penises do not produce more people.
They link the two in this African phrase.
No.
Yes.
Oh,
they think that they're directly correlated. And
oh boy. So wait, no, I'm not going to go there.
We're going to study this phenomenon. We're going to study it in its modern iteration. We're going to study the history of it. I didn't know that it extended to women, that women were afraid that their nipples would disappear.
Nipples?
Yeah, there became like these fads where they would put like barbells through their nipples to prevent them from retracting. People ended up dying from this. Yeah, they thought that the way they disappeared is they retracted into the body. I love your like, what? All right, let's go, Simone.
Yes,
let's start with the tweet, then go into the article. This is fascinating.
Okay, so Christophe Teteka tweets, a French diplomat in #CAR found himself at, quote, the center of a campaign last month in which he was accused of having organized a vast penis theft operation in the country, unquote. This is linking to an article.
For months now, rumors of missing male genitals have been stirring up the public in the CAR, that's the Central African Republic. The first reports of missing organs came in 2022 from Nadel Bangada Brigade Prefecture. It's not pronounced correct at all.
Spoke to a trader in Bangui last week. He said nanotech is the new form of sneak, a single light touch and your pride goes zap. Then never again will you fap. So hold on to hope and hold on to more. Don't let white men come knocking your door.
The phenomenon spread to Bambari and has reached Bangui and spread throughout the country. The media, the government, and doctors neglect the cases of genital evaporation because of the unproven nature of the phenomenon, although hundreds of photos that are unlikely to be fabricated are available online. Wait, why would they be unlikely? That is exactly
Photos.
the type of thing 4chan would fabricate. That is the first thing I would try to fabricate on 4chan.
September 2014, we were excited to release the new iOS 8. Well, 4chan made another marketing campaign that claimed even more sophisticated algorithms that allowed the new iPhone battery to be charged by simply popping the thing in the microwave for 2 minutes on high. People really did this, by the way. And the news picked up on it too.
Yeah, don't put your phone in the microwave.
Just to be clear, don't ever...
Can I do if I microwave my phone? Help, iPhone put in microwave and not working. I know it's stupid, but I put my phone in the microwave.
Okay, let's say I stuck my phone in the microwave.
And even the LAPD had to issue a warning after receiving a large number of distressed phone calls.
With the rise of AI, you can now convince millions of people that these are real photos.
We can take these fears on crack level now, and I hope that 4chan does go and start faking this, please. This is hilarious.
Oh boy.
Okay, so
there are various versions about the circumstances of the disappearance of penises. Some say that the penis disappears completely, while others note it only shrinks. Some indicate that the phenomenon is temporary and the genitals can be returned by praying in church. Others insist that this process is irreversible. There are different rumors about the mysterious witch doctor capable of conducting such an inhuman and horrifying ritual. According to the main version, organs disappear after a handshake or any other physical contact with a stranger. Some eyewitnesses and victims add that the stranger in question was white. People are seriously disturbed, and the matter has already gone to the point where men attempt to lynch suspected individuals. The question comes up, why are cases of missing genitals still going on? Despite the refutations propagated by the media, locals are reporting that men continue to experience penis theft in different corners of the country. All these stories are called conspiracy, superstitions, and tall tales, but in 2024, we are experienced enough to realize what is called conspiracy today may become common knowledge tomorrow. In recent years, we've seen the then called crazy conspiracy theories about Western elite being involved in child abduction, mass orgies, rampant homosexuality, and satanic rituals. All turned out to be matter of fact.
Hold on. I want to
What?
go, because this is being okay. So for people, the context of this is obviously being written by an African conspiracy theorist, likely in the CAR, right?
Okay.
And so they don't sound that different. Like they're clearly like, look, I know that this is called a conspiracy right now, but like, hear me out here. There's so many photos I have seen. We should actually be a little worried about this. But what I love in addition to this is from the perspective of an African in the CAR who's like, what are the Western conspiracies that have been proven out? Because this has happened a number of times recently.
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
The mass orgies, that one was proven true. I think the child abduction, I think that that's one still like a fringe, but mostly accepted on the right now. But here's the other two I love. Rampant homosexuality. This was like a rumor to them. Like,
is this a conspiracy theory? Yeah, that's what I'm not sure about. Like, I know that child abduction takes place. We know that orgies take place, and we know that
hold
homosexuality
on. We're not
exists.
seeing it from his perspective.
Okay.
He is an African, okay? So he likely went to people he knows in his country or outlets in his country, and he's like, is it true that there's like rampant homosexuality in the United States? Just like tons and tons of gay people like corrupting the country? And then the person would be like, let's say they're a missionary or something like that, right? They'd probably say, oh, that's not true. Come on.
Like, so conservative Christian missionaries in Africa are like, no, there's no homosexuality.
There's not rampant homosexuals at every level of every thing in the United States. But you as an American, you don't even see that as a conspiracy theory. You're like, yeah, it's gays everywhere. Like, I got gay friends. Like, what are you talking about? A guy in the CAR, where like, you're probably likely to be killed if you're gay. he was asking other people, is it really true there's gays everywhere in the United States? And they're like, no, that can't possibly be true. And he's like, and now it's been proven. And then the satanic rituals one, I love, I don't know about that one yet. It depends on how
I don't know,
James
like,
Lindsay is.
define satanic rituals. There was that woman on Eurovision who's a witch, but does that count? Like,
Oh yeah, that's what he's probably talking about. Okay, so
yeah.
you're right about that. Yeah, so there is like a big witchcraft community in the United States, and so he probably was like, "Are satanic rituals being carried out in the United States?" And people were like, "Nah, like there's
But
not."
you can
actually,
literally
like, a
buy them
satanic
on Etsy. Like, I don't understand. Yes, they are. And technically speaking, do they work? I don't think so personally, but that's up to you.
This is actually the interesting nature of conspiracy theories,
Uh-huh.
is that they suddenly become banal and noticeable once they're proven factual. If you said that there are rampant elite
Satanic rituals now have 5-star reviews on Etsy. You just can't really get excited about it anymore. It was
Right.
funny when they were secret. Now
It's like
they're
you go to somebody, a few years ago, and you'd be like, there are these giant sex parties that the elites of our country go to that have underage people at them. And they'd be like, that is the craziest effing conspiracy theory I've ever heard. And today you mentioned they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, obviously, like Epstein, whatever, right? You go to the satanic ritual thing, and you're like, there's secret satanic rituals being, and they're like, that sounds pretty crazy to me. And then you're like, look on Etsy. And they're like, oh, that's just a little spell thing. Like, what
oh, that
is
thing
that?
teenagers do, that thing girls do when they go through their goth phase. I don't know. Like,
By the way, for people who haven't seen it, there's an old episode we did called Tradwive finds out you can buy spells on Etsy, where we do a review of these. Anyway, keep going. But I found that to be really interesting, the way that he thinks about conspiracy theories coming from a different cultural environment.
that is, yeah, that on its own, worth the price of admission. Very entertaining. Okay, I will continue. The moral decay of Western countries is a well-known fact, but even the bravest minds could not have foreseen that they were up to this time. French intelligence services, filled with neo-colonial hatred and envy of Africans, are now using secret nanotechnology innovations to steal penises from African men in order to reverse the extinction of Europeans unwilling to bear children. And no matter how crazy you may think this is, the reality is even more terrifying.
Hold on, before we go further, I need to, because I love getting this perception of both pronatalism as a movement in Europe and in the United States from the perspective of a high fertility country that has more of its traditional culture intact,
or that's just so high fertility that they don't even think about it. They're like, what, your penis is broken? Like that, I don't know.
Yeah, like,
that's
must be your penises aren't working anymore.
Yeah, I guess your penis is too small. Sorry.
But that's not what he says. Listen to his words, because we say that this is the way Africans think of the West, and they're like, oh no, that can't be true. He says Europeans unwilling to bear children.
Oh, okay, so he gets it.
So no, but what he's saying is you are not putting in the labor that we're putting in. And in this case, we're taking their penises, but what's really happening is we're taking their children. Right? Like he understands that this is unfair and that Europeans have brought this on themselves. And then if you look at the first line of this, what is he, the African, thinking of the West right now? The moral decay of Western countries is a well-known fact, but even the bravest of minds could not have foreseen what they were up to this time. Like,
oh, Western civilization. God, what have you done now?
And what we'll be studying here is how fears of penis theft typically disappear after Westernization. So we'll go into other countries that have, so your country will only be high fertility so long as you're still afraid of the penis stealing witches, or in this case, scientists and bureaucrats.
Well, and that's because your dick hasn't been cut off by bureaucracy yet. I don't know what to say. I mean, maybe we are the dickless ones. Is that what has happened?
I was making earlier, and I really can't emphasize this enough. If you could make people's penises longer by stealing other people's penises and trading them with hormones, there would be a black market for African penises.
Oh, fact.
They haven't misjudged our degeneracy. They have misjudged our technology.
You can't just run around ripping off people's dicks to make a giant dick ship. I have an advanced degree in technology. You're a madman. This ship will never fly.
Yes. Okay, continue.
In February 2024, The Independent, a major global media outlet, published an article claiming that the French are losing their manhood. A survey by the French Institute of Public Opinion, IFOP, found out that 1 in 4, 24% of French adults aged 18 to 69 said they had not had sex for the past year.
Hold on, I love, you're absolutely right that like a part of his brain is being like, wait, 1 in 4 men isn't having sex in the last year? Do they not have penises?
Yeah, they must not have penises. This how?
How is this
so wonderful?
How is this? Que c'est possible? I don't know if I said that anyway. Continue.
And they are the only ones who admitted it.
He meant to write, and they are only the ones who admitted it.
No, yes, I know, but it was right before.
No, it was not right.
Okay, we understand. We just disagree grammatically, but I will read what you said.
Now you're trying to make me out to be the bad guy.
Yes, I'm trying to make you a bad guy. We're both bad guys. We're professional bad guys. Ding. Hello.
Yes, please, belittle me in front of my henchmen. It's a real morale booster.
But why are we arguing in front of the henchmen anyway?
Because the henchmen are standing here.
Are you two gonna get a divorce?
That's a very pretty costume, Mrs. Monarch.
I have a
fan base
that is full of guys that do nothing but play a video game that uses a little plastic baby guitar.
And they are only the ones who admitted it. According to medical experts, 64% of French men have not had sexual relationships during the year. And this applies only to white men living in France. Now it has become the problem that threatens national security because men who have lost their manhood are not ready to join the army, are not ready to build a career. They're only ready to sit in front of a computer and play video games. The French security forces got involved in solving the issue and discovered that there is a certain hormone that is responsible for sexual activity. It is impossible to synthesize this hormone artificially, but it could be obtained from the blood of another man.
First, I love like the sympathetic magic aspect here. If it was just blood they needed, they could just like do blood drives in Africa and pay them for it. It could certainly be cheaper than stealing their penises with nanotechnology. So I love how you get like the derangement here.
Yeah, the leaps, the logical leaps that have to be made for the penis theft to actually be the logical next step are non-trivial.
But it makes sense if you consider that penis theft was a historic cultural fear of this region.
Yes, as Scott Alexander covered in
well, we'll be going over that after you finish reading this.
Awesome. Yeah. Such a cool
history. History when people used to think witches did it instead of pronatalists.
Right. Yeah.
And I promise I've never stolen a penis. I have no.
That's exactly what a penis stealer would say. Very suspicious. Very suspicious. I will continue. The highest level of this hormone was found in the blood of African men. Of course, secret developments on the extraction of the hormone have been going on for a long time. In 2016, there was an outbreak of disappearances in Haiti, and the trials were conducted. The aim of that program was to extract this hormone from men. Later, it turned out that the highest rate of this hormone is not just in African men, but in the Central African Republic, where men are famous for having the longest genitals. Is that true?
I don't know. I can look it up in post. But what I can say is I love the jingoism going on here.
It's pride. Yes.
Yeah, just Google it right now.
What country has the longest?
But I love that this is such a good conspiracy theory because it combines, degradation of the outsider is like
I can feel perplexity cringing right now. And it's not. The country with the longest rich erect penis is Sudan, with an average length of 7.07 inches. This is closely followed by the Democratic Republic of Congo, 7.06 inches, and Ecuador, 6.93 inches. These measurements are based on studies that include both self-reported and measured data, so slight variations in rankings may occur depending on the methodology used.
I would not use self-reported data in this at all. Like what? But I
make the top 3. What's going on? This is the conspiracy. It's the penis length conspiracy.
I actually hold on. I have a great idea for the pronatalist movement.
Yours is longer, isn't it? It's not longer.
I don't think that we need to talk about that on air, Simone. But I I will neither confirm nor deny anything in that category.
I'm still holding out to put this in the
It's-
Base Camp Etsy shop, the Malcolm dildo. Just saying.
It's a
Just tell me
weird
what
thing to
price
talk
it
about,
should
but-
be. We'll make money. We can live independently for the rest of our lives.
I think we need to start a rumor, get it going on 4chan and everything like that.
Okay.
That men with small penises can't make children. And that if you don't have children, your penis will shrink and fall off.
It must because your penis is
And
too
the
small.
only way you can prove that you have a large penis is by having kids.
I mean,
that's or better. I like the fall off one better. Like your penis will fall off if you don't have sex. You become a wizard if you're a virgin at 31. I think. No, what actually happens? I guess this is the thing. If you don't have kids, if you have sex without having kids, like for whatever reason, we'll say like the vaginal juices cause your penis to disintegrate and eventually fall off. That's going to be the rumor, right? Are you
Sure.
okay? You're okay with that one?
Let's go. Yeah. It's just, at this point, I'll take what I can get, man.
Because I think no, then a lot of guys, they'd be like, oh shit, like I got to get married so my penis doesn't fall off. Like,
I mean, protect the goods. They call them the family jewels for a reason.
We as a society literally used to have myths like this. Like literally just 2 generations ago, people were like, well, if I masturbate too much, I'll go blind. Like, shit,
I know,
man.
tragic.
Doctors say the act of masturbation is perfectly normal and a healthy sexual practice. But are you really going to trust doctors? They're a bunch of perverts who won't even come into the room until you take your clothes off.
Oh, never really thought about it that way.
Tragic. Oh, did people like see blind people on the street and be like,
must have masturbated too much? Are we gonna tell our kids that if you masturbate too much, you'll go blind and crazy?
Yes. No, what I did hear one parent say was that one of their sons, she was a mother, saw her naked, and he was like, where's your penis? And she's like, well, I didn't eat my vegetables. And ever after that, you know what? Somebody ate their greens.
Really? Oh my God.
Somebody ate them. So maybe that's what we should tell our children. I actually already tried that on our children so far. They're not afraid of losing their penises yet. I think we need to like wait a little longer, and then I will try to reintroduce this meme. We'll see. We'll report back. To carry out the sinister plan, Alexandra Piquet flew to the CAR. According to the official version, he is the first counselor of the head of the public relations department of the French embassy in the Central African Republic. In fact,
hold on, before we go further. This random motherfucker's job just got so much harder, like out of nowhere. This is one of those like, fuck you individually moments from God. Like lightning comes down to strike you. You are the king of the penis thieves. And you know, it's like some random, probably dweeby French diplomat. Like,
is he a real person?
You know, his life is in like serious danger over this, right? Like,
yeah, because there's a lot of pissed off men whose penises have been smaller than they expected recently. And there's one, he's real.
He's real. I love a guy goes to a girl, you know, he pulls down his pants and she's like, I've been with bigger, and he goes, it's the penis thief.
It was stolen.
It was the French.
Yeah, it no longer is it cold or it's a grower. No, I am a victim of theft. Do not worry. I will be recovering my penis by going to church and praying.
I've been praying a lot recently. Yeah. Good. All right, continue.
Pray to God. I love that. It's the best solution. Anyway, according to the official version, he is the first counselor and the head of the public relations department of the French embassy in the Central African Republic. In fact, Alexander is an undercover French intelligence agent, GGSE, working on a secret program codenamed Repopulation. The disappearance of penises in Haiti in 2016 mystically coincides with the beginning of his work in the country. Piquet flew to Bangui in 2022 and began making preparations, studying local men to identify the most suitable candidates for this procedure. I'm just like picturing him at urinals or something. Like,
yeah, like walking. It's real footage.
Real footage.
Recreation.
Piquet in action. Oh my God. In the summer of 2024, the secret operation was finally approved by French President Emmanuel Macron. Macron, known for his special fondness for African men, was the main lobbyist for the repopulation project in the French government. Childless Macron, who had lost hope of having a whole family of his own, took a desperate step to save his aging nation, which have lost its vitality from extinction. The stolen genitals from the Central Africans.
Before we go further.
Yeah.
Could I just say how much I love all of this? That Macron apparently also, like, it's not just they're using this to breed, or that Macron is childless.
This is personal. This is
He
his
personally
penis is too
into
small.
Black men, and that is why. It's like I want to know: is there some scandal around Macron and black men? Like, is this a thing that he said sometime? You can check right now while I'm talking. Just ask Perplexity. Is there any scandal around Macron and black men? I
Perplexity's already mad at me for asking about penis size. So what can I do now? Okay, there's some.
Perplexity got mad at me for asking of instances in which insurance companies now were approving more claims than they had before the assassination.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, it got like mad. It was like, this isn't happening. I'm like, I'm sorry. I've read several reports of like major policy changes, and they're like, no, my algorithms won't let me find those sources.
Poor Perplexity. All right, let's see. There's no specific scandal involving Emmanuel Macron and African
So this guy's
men.
just like, sure, like you in particular, Macron, I've seen you looking at black men. Like, I love that. I also love the name of the project, codenamed Repopulation. I am so scared that we get tagged for a conspiracy theory like this. I hope that we're like based and out there enough.
I know. Well, thank goodness that we're known for beating our children instead of stealing penises, right?
Right? No, and I hope, I mean, we've got to look out for stuff. There's always the case that you slip up and you say the wrong word or you use the wrong sign, and the next moment, James Lindsay has decided you're working with the what's the group he's always afraid of? They're a mostly dead group from northern Egypt called the Gnostics. I love a lot of James Lindsay's work. I really, really do. I think he's discovered some really great stuff. But he's a bit like me if I didn't have Simone reining me in, where I'll see something like people walking around in red hats that say witch in Latin on them. And I'm like, okay, like they seem like they're on our side, but there's probably something there. And Simone's like, no, Malcolm, that's crazy talk. Well, James Lindsay doesn't have that, right? So I've seen so many instances where I'm like, oh, I could have accidentally done that and set Lindsay off on me. He's clearly one of the Gnostic cabal trying to take over society. So I don't know. I could end up with a conspiracy built around me.
Good Lord. Well, you've made it when. Let's see what has happened to the stolen penises. The stolen genitals of Central Africans were taken by truck to a neighboring African country, then transported to Paris on board of a military aircraft.
Well,
you got to protect them, Malcolm. Where they were again loaded on trucks and hidden in one of the secret bunkers of Versailles. Oh,
there's a secret bunker of Versailles. We are going full on Da Vinci Code. There's a guy who opens the door to the secret bunker of Versailles and just penis.
Well, and where they would have gone if they were flown to the United States, right?
Where
secret bunker beneath the Washington Monument. I mean,
oh yes, beneath the one. Yes, I've got to do.
It would have been so perfect. It's kind of a shame.
Shake. Everywhere I turn, it's dicks.
On the record, which is at the disposal of Edition, thanks to a local resident, the fact of the mysterious trucks crossing the palace territory is documented. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. The penises were seen crossing into Versailles.
They were seen crossing the palace territory. Oh my gosh. Crossing the palace territory. Okay, so first I love that they like don't even see them with the penises, and then they're like, I saw some mysterious trucks. It was reported to me by a local resident. Must have been full of penises.
I was,
What else? I see a truck I don't recognize.
I'm sure that the truck just had a giant sign on it that said penises. Get out the way.
This video is going to be, I I have no idea whether it's going to be
Deeply
demonetized.
demonetized. I don't.
I think it'll get through, to be honest. I mean, we're not. They're actually pretty good about stuff like this. Like, if you're not actually sitting there talking about like an orgy or something, they're not gonna. And this is fairly news based.
Yeah, we're talking about important
So now
demographic collapse related stuff here.
I'm going to be reading from Scott Alexander, who did a good piece on the history of penis stealing. So nobody knows when penis stealing witches began their malign activities, but Babylonian texts, including the Sa-zi-ga, incantations against witchcraft, induced impotence. Ancient Chinese sources describe sozang, the penis retracting into the body because of yin-yang imbalances. But the first crystal clear reference was a Malleus Maleficarum, the 15th century European witch hunter's manual. It included several chapters on how witches cast curses that apparently, though not actually, remove men's penises. Now, this is interesting for a few reasons. One, you go back to like the earliest human writings, like Babylon. Already they're afraid of penis stealing witchcraft. Like, this appears to be deeply ingrained in the human condition. But two, you'll hear later in this that in Africa, like if one of the people who's like, my penis was stolen, they'll like go to a doctor and the doctor will look and be like, it's right there. And then they'll look down again, they'll be like, oh, it reappeared. And it appeared that it probably worked the same way in Europe, even in the 15th century, because even the rumors of the witches who would steal people's penises, they're like, yeah, but they didn't actually remove them. And you know, the Vatican has always been quite good about reining in. Sorry, a lot of people may not know this. The Vatican was very good at reining in witch hunters, witch trials, Inquisition related stuff.
Yeah, it was the Protestants that kind of screwed this up.
Yeah, no, the Protestants went crazy with this stuff. The Vatican had a few instances where people were killed, but they didn't go like full mass killings like the Protestants did. I say this as a Protestant who is on record with a lot of, you may even go so far as to say, anti-Catholic beliefs. And I had to give the Catholics props on this one. They did they're pretty good at reining in the crazies, which meant that like when they were writing this down in the Maleficarum, they're like, but they don't really disappear. Anyway, continue. Oh, I'll continue. Okay, so the first recorded incident of penis theft in Africa I could find took place in Sudan in the 1960s. So very recently did this enter Africa as a phenomenon. Perhaps even coming out of Europe. But in the mid to late 70s in Nigeria, there were waves of well-documented cases. One of these happened in the northern city of Kudana, where a psychiatrist named Dr. Sunday Ichiwu was working in his office when a policeman arrived escorting two men. One of them said he needed a medical assessment. He had accused the other man of making his penis disappear. As with a previously discussed incident, this had caused a disturbance in the street. During Ichiwu's examination, he later recounted the victim stared straight ahead while the doctor examined his penis and pronounced it normal. Quote unquote, exclaiming, Ichiru wrote in the Transcultural Psychiatric Review, the patient looked down at his groin for the first time, suggesting that his genitals had just reappeared.
He bought a green sweater, okay? So you can't just make that disappear, okay? That's like stealing. It's the equivalent of stealing. So where is it?
I spent like $48, so you're not being clever at this point, all right? You're being mean. You're being stupid. Where is it?
Look at your effing body right now, Peter.
What the F? How did I was holding things. Did you feel anything?
According to Ichiru, this was part of an endemic of magical penis theft that swept through Nigeria between 1975 and 1977. Quote, men could be seen in the streets of Lagos holding onto their genital either openly or discreetly with their hands in their pockets, end quote. Ichiru wrote, quote, women were also seen holding onto their breasts directly or discreetly by crossing their hands across their chest. Vigilance and anticipatory aggression were thought to be good prophylactics. This then led to further breakdown of law and order, end quote. During an incident, the victim would yell, thief, my genitals are gone. Immediately, the culprit would be identified, apprehended by the crowd, and often killed.
No! What a way to die. What a way to die.
He stole my penis! Capture the man!
Oh, that is one of the worst ways to die. Oh, boy.
They're culturally very, you know, when people are like, Well, is there really proof? Like in a piece that we're going to do tomorrow, Scott Alexander is like, well, there isn't really proof that some cultures are better than other cultures. And so when we're talking about these culturally induced medical conditions, because in the piece we're going to be arguing that gender dimorphism is a culturally induced medical condition, and he admits it probably mostly.
Gender dysmorphia.
Gender dysmorphia, about 80%, like transness is probably similar to penis stealing in Africa, but he's like, but there isn't such thing as being culturally neutral. So like, you shouldn't look at these negatively, right? Like, it doesn't mean it's not real, right? In the same way that anorexia, we're going to argue, is probably also one of these. And Simone had that. She had our version of penis steals and things, and that ends up killing about 10% of the people who have it, you know? So like, it's clear that they really feel it and believe it, right? But
no, none of us are above this, but we still get to. I laugh at myself for starving myself. That's funny.
He then goes on to argue that there is no, like, there's no neutral culture. There's no culture is better than any other cultures. So we shouldn't be like, oh, transness isn't like real or something that should be promoted just because it's a cultural isolated phenomenon or contagion phenomenon. And by the way, if you're like, no, it's not culturally isolated, every instance where people point to quote unquote trans people from a different culture, the way it's presented is super, super different than the way it's presented in the United States. Whether you're talking about two-spirit or anything like that, we'll get to that in tomorrow's lecture. Anyway, or whenever I end up posting it. But anyway, the point here being, I argue that there are cultures that are better than other cultures. And then a culture where people are killed on the street because somebody randomly freaked out and thought you stole their penis is a bad culture. And this should probably be stamped out as a phenomenon. If something is leading to people dying, like let's say a 50% attempted suicide rate, which we have in the trans community, that's just why I mentioned that, it might be better if the phenomenon was ended instead of, or at least discouraged from spreading instead of exasperated, because I don't like it when people die over something that's just a cultural quirk, like a witch stole my penis. Anyway, to continue. But it's been making up for lost time. Burres, this is the guy who's studying it, who we'll go into a bit, was able to find and interview one previous penis theft victim, plus the friend of another. Both described similar stories. Someone had bumped up against them under weird circumstances. They immediately noticed as their penis was much smaller than usual. They called out the culprit, and apparently, because the witch involved didn't want to get into trouble, their penis was restored. So even if your penis was restored, even if someone's like, wait, before we kill this person, can we look to see if like your penis was taken? And you'd be like, it got better.
What makes you think she's a witch?
Well, she turned me into a newt. I got better.
But like even the penis still being there isn't proof that they didn't steal it and then give it back to not be murdered by the mob. Whatever weird itch this topic had given Burris, this didn't satisfy him. So he then wanted to go get the full story. So he goes to Nigeria. He couldn't find any instances of this. And the absolutely crazy thing he did is he then started, as a white guy, bumping into random people on the street, trying to get one of them to accuse him of penis theft. I was like, people are beaten to death in the streets for this, you psycho. Why are you trying to get someone to accuse you? And so then it follows him as he goes to other countries trying to find anywhere where this has happened recently. He goes to Hong Kong, he goes to Singapore, he goes to Malaysia. And in basically every case, they're like, nobody believes this anymore. Like after they westernize, they no longer believe it.
That's really interesting.
Malaysia holds a special place in the history as the spot where penis stealing witches first made contact with Western science. The Malaysian word for the condition is koro. It means head of the turtle, based on an analogy of the penis retracting into the body the same way a turtle's head retracts into its shell. And it is by that name that the condition gets listed in the DSM and the rest of medical literature. Neither I nor Burres was able to find many ethnic Malays worrying about koro. Most of the activity seems to come from Malaysian Chinese. So these are Chinese who moved to Malaysia, who's a subpopulation that's actually uniquely wealthy in Malaysia. They're often called like the Jews of the region. It's interesting. Anyway, that's a totally different episode that we're going to do. The Chinese definitely worry about it, attributing it to a wide variety of causes, including poisoning, yin-yang imbalance, and yes, witches. But Burris found nothing among any ethnicity. Once again, all the doctors said it used to be common, but disappeared as the city industrialized and adopted Western ways. He then goes to try to find this like remote region, the Cape of York, to try to find penis stealing witches, because there was an incident of it in 1984 where, quote, rumors spread of a fox ghost, sometimes disguised as an old woman roaming the land collecting penises in covered baskets she carried on a shoulder pole. When two young men approached her and told her to uncover the baskets, they looked inside and saw that the baskets were full of dun 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 penises and died instantly with fright. But if they died instantly, then who reported the story? Was there another guy and they like yelled penises? And then they,
What if she
Now,
was just
imagine
a
dying
traveling
because you
dildo
saw-
saleswoman who accidentally killed 2 men of fright?
Imagine dying because you saw a basket of penises. But I also love that even in these remote regions of the world, like witches are like old women, right? Okay.
Yeah, but also I'm starting to see this interesting correlation between high fertility and believing in penis theft. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just better
we
to
should teach our
believe.
kids. Actually, I actually kind of like the idea of teaching them that like cultures we don't want them engaging with might try to steal their penises. Be like, hey, you got to be really careful with this urban monoculture stuff. People with blue hair steal penises.
I mean, they do technically. So I'm okay with saying that. Yeah.
They actually
steal penises. They do steal penises. If there's any real penis theft taking place, it is within the urban monoculture led by gender warriors. So anyway, did someone try to steal your penis?
Hold on, I've got to check. No, it's fortunately still there. Okay.
We got to insure it, man. All right.
I didn't expect this episode to be this fun to do. I was like, this is a throwaway episode. I'm like, this is one of my favorite episodes I've ever done.
We just don't talk about penises enough in modern day
We need to do more on like weird subcultures if this one does well. I
love weird subcultures. Yes.
Okay. Panic about Koro would hit a village and last 3 to 4 days. When residents heard about the case in a neighboring village, the panic would subside since it meant the ghost had moved on.
The roving penis stealing ghost. Now I feel like this could be a holiday. It's like Krampus, but for adults.
You know, but what I love is if you want it to die down in your village, you have to get another village panicking about it. It only subsided when the first village stopped panicking.
That's true.
Like,
You have to know that it's hitting somewhere else. That's true.
They're panicking now, so we don't have to deal with the penis squidge.
The curse has to be passed on. It reminds me of that My Little Pony episode. I can't remember which episode it was, but they're like, they basically sent a giant natural disaster to some other pony land. And like the episode just ended with that. And they're like, oh, problem solved.
Oh,
and
this
like,
is the episode where they have the little like self-replicating things.
oh, that's it. Yeah. They basically sent, what are those? Like they're called in sci-fi replicators. Just they sent replicators.
Yeah, they might be like replicators in sci-fi. I always thought the episode is closer to in Star Trek. There's one where Tribbles. The trouble with Tribbles.
Tribbles. Yeah, they just sent Tribbles to some other town, and they're like, guys, we don't have to worry about
and
this
then when they did
anymore.
with Star Trek, I think they beamed them onto a Klingon ship or something.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Who cares about Klingons? I mean, if there's one thing I'm racist against, it's Klingons.
You're racist against Klingons? You know there's people who believe they're Klingons. They get like surgery to look like Klingons.
I know, and I'm okay with that.
Real population you have decided to discriminate against.
The one hill I'm okay with.
What have they ever done to you?
Actually, they're pretty sweet. Yeah, they're pretty.
I'm joking. I'm okay with you sending Tribbles to Klingon houses.
No, Klingons are cool. Ferengi are really annoying. Are these just racial stereotypes in Star Trek? Holy shit, are Ferengi Jews?
No, I actually thought about doing an episode on which religious groups match which mythical species, you know, like elves, dwarves. And then I started like doing it in my head. I was like, okay, who's going to be orcs? Who's going to be like dark dwarves? Who's going to be, and I started to be like, nope.
Nope. Yeah, just so many no's. So many no's. This is not. Anyway, back to penises.
The attacks slowly made their way around the island. The ghost struck at night when villagers were sleeping. A chill would creep into the room, and suddenly the victim would feel his penis shrinking inwards. He would grab it and run outside for help. A 28-year-old office worker was at home one night when, quote, he heard a gong being beaten and terrifying noises being made by people who were panicking in a nearby neighborhood.
Oh, thank goodness they had a penis alarm. We don't have any in our houses.
He suddenly became anxious and experienced the sensation that his penis was shrinking. He was seized with panic and shouted loudly for help. Several men in the neighborhood rushed in and tried to rescue him by forcefully pulling his penis and making loud sounds to chase away the evil ghost that was thought to be affecting him.
What a bad night. You wake up, your penis is shrinking, you go outside, you ring the penis alarm, then the people come and they yell at you while pulling your penis.
No, hold on. This is like cultural difference here. Even if I was certain, I woke up and I was certain that a ghost was trying to take my penis. The last thing I would do is run out of the house screaming, "My penis is shrinking. My penis is shrinking. Dear God, my penis is shrinking." That would be the last thought in my mind. Run around beating a gong. "Oh my God, my penis is shrinking." And then, this is how I know this is a different culture.
Okay.
If I saw another man running around beating a gong saying, "Dear God, my penis is shrinking," my last thought would be to
I'm
run
gonna
up
go
and
pull it.
grab his penis along with another man
I'm gonna grab it.
and make loud noises to scare away a ghost.
But we're the ones selling satanic rituals on Etsy and being
Are we
super
any
gay.
better as a culture? Like, I honestly think, like, we're laughing at this. If you explained trans people to like a random person in Central Africa, they would probably think it sounds as crazy as witches stealing your penises. You're like, wait, there's men who suddenly decide that they're women and like they go on, you give them drugs to make them look more like women, and then everyone's supposed to just accept this? And they don't even have to go on drugs, and they go into women's restrooms. They play against girls in sport. What are you talking about? This sounds insane. A guy comes up to you and says, "I'm a woman," and everyone they don't look like a woman. They don't talk like a woman, and everyone just has to accept this. Like the case in Canada where the guy wore like the giant boobs and everyone was just like, "Yeah, you have to accept this." And he turned out to be.
For months, the school board in Ontario defended this creep.
I went there to the school board back in October, dressed exactly like Busty Lemieux. They're all down with the agenda, but only when it's in front of the kids. When it's in front of their school board meeting, they actually fled the room. And also, that director of education released a statement where he said that he might veto a dress code recommendation.
Of course. I think that they're probably like, in Central Africa, that's probably what he thinks. And I'm not saying, look, again, I actually believe that there are some real trans people. And when we look at things like the tide studies and endocrine disruptors, there really might be a trans phenomenon. But I also think that the way that our culture is relating to this phenomenon is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who pretty obviously don't have any whatever would be like real transness are getting caught up in this. But anyway, so we laugh at them. They're probably laughing at us. They're like, "Hey,
As they should.
Other people have to take our penises.
There's a lot of other stuff that's really ridiculous about us. That like we literally can't make a sandwich, that we have to DoorDash it. Like that is how feckless we are. I mean, I think that's even more notable. Anyway, carry on.
Well, I mean, explain anorexia to them. We're like, yeah, young girls just sometimes stop eating. They what? Yeah, they think they're not beautiful enough. Well, surely they realize when they become like frail and look like they're about to die. Surely then they realize that this isn't making them more beautiful. It's like, no, that almost never happens. They actually just die often. They'd be like, that's as stupid as penis.
I mean,
idiots.
Because it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Neighbors and family members were enlisted in rescue operations. Oh, I love they got a whole rescue team here, right? Going door to door. Did you take the penises?
I mean, it's after the theft that you're most likely to find the penis again. I mean, after hours have passed, the penis could be anywhere, Malcolm. It's the first hours that count.
Victims were beaten with sandals and slippers while the middle finger of their hand was squeezed so that the ghost could exit the body there. The endemic engulfed the island with the exception of Lee and Maui minorities who seemed to be immune to such fears. Researchers estimated that between 2,000 and 5,000 people were affected, but that, quote, no one died from genital retraction, end quote. However, close your ears, Simone, or take out your things. One baby, however, did die when his mother tried to feed him pepper juice, and a girl was beaten to death during a 2-hour exorcism. Quote, numerous men suffered injuries to their penises as a result of rescuing actions, end quote. You can...
I really appreciate the trigger warning. I'm assuming children were hurt, so.
No, it wasn't that. It was something else.
Okay,
You don't have
good.
to worry about
Only
it.
good things ever happen to children, and I need to fix the world
It was
because
something totally else. But anyway, a number of men did suffer serious injuries during rescue attempts.
well, and there were the people who, yeah, wow, okay.
And then iron pins were sometimes inserted into the nipples of women to prevent retraction, which caused infections.
Well, we pierce nipples too, so you know. And we do it for non-protective reasons. We just do it for fun. And they're like, "What do you mean? Like you're not trying to protect your nipples? You're just doing that for
No.
fun?"
Imagine you're trying to explain this, right? And you're like, yeah, so they go to somebody from like Central Africa comes, and they're like, yeah, so when I was a teenager, I felt uncomfortable with my body. And they're like, wait, what? You did this because you were a teenager and everyone feels uncomfortable with their body when they're a teenager. No. You don't understand. When I was a teenager, I was confused about my sexuality. And they're like, you did what because of that? And they're like, no. You don't understand. You see, when I was a teenager, I felt like a social outcast and I was looking for a group that would accept me. I was uncomfortable with my body and I was confused about my sexuality. In the United States, these are all signs that you have gender dysphoria. And you're like, no, I think that might be normal teenage stuff. But the interesting thing here, and this is the point, is that you can't make this stuff go away just by saying, the same was like, anorexia. You can't go to someone who's anorexia. Like, this is a real thing that they'll likely die over and be like, hey, this is like a social phenomenon unique to your country. Oh, well.
That was fun. I love you.
Love you too. The thing I was prepping the next episode on, where I was going to record it today, but we just don't have enough time for me to do full prep on it.
Sorry.
Was on somebody who had a number of long conversations with Luigi, the UN whatever shooter guy.
Yeah.
Were really interesting. So one of the conversations or complaints Luigi had, which reminded me so much of the moral situation that he found himself in, was apparently when he was in Japan, he was complaining that everyone was an NPC, and he described one instance where he saw somebody having a seizure. And so he ran to the police to try to help the person, but the police insisted on stopping and waiting at every stoplight, even when there were no cars.
That's so Japanese. Okay.
Right. But he's like, but a person is dying. It's okay to break the law if you're going to save lives. And I think that that's sort of a microcosm of what he was doing. And it would be really interesting to unpack more of his belief system around this. Of, in his mind, why did he think this was an okay thing to do when we live in a world of people that didn't think it was an okay thing to do? Even the writer of the article was like, well, anyway, interesting, definitely worth something going into. Another interesting thing, which is going to happen in another episode, because this episode was mostly meant as a prep episode. Like intellectual candy, just like fun, goofy stuff for a much deeper episode that I actually think I've unlocked a big change in my perspective on something.
What? Okay. What?
There is so the idea of, as we're going to end up talking about in today's video, of a regional locked mental illness applies incredibly strictly and well to gender dysphoria. And more than that, by looking at how it applies to autism and gender dysphoria, and autism and anorexia, another region-locked illness that does not appear to be a real illness, but an illness that is specifically due to cultural pressures, we can better understand exactly what's causing, in a way that is clearer for me than anything has ever been, exactly what's creating gender dysphoria. Because what I ended up doing is I took a manual from a anorexia clinic about why autism often leads to anorexia. And if you just read it and you replace the word like eating with gender expression or anorexia with gender dysphoria, all of a sudden every line makes perfect sense, but in a very offensive way.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. I'm looking forward to that.
You as an autistic person, I think, are going to be able to shed a lot, who had severe anorexia, are going to be able to shed a lot of light on this.
Exciting.
So I tried dressing up as Krampus for a Christmas tradition, but they are apparently far too clever for this. At first, Torsten goes, this is the middle child, who's 3. Why is Krampus wearing a mask? And at the end of the night, you'll hear him go, I think that's a costume. And you can see him when I come into the room. While the older child believes it's Krampus, the middle one isn't buying it at all. No, I don't see it. And the youngest one, immediately, the moment she sees it, she goes, it's Daddy! And then Simone has to try to redirect her. Like, oh, no, you mean it's scary. Probably my favorite part is the oldest child's guess as to who it is. It was that it was Indy. Indy, our youngest under 1-year-old child, strapped to Simone's back because it made a wah sound.
Josie, why are you out of bed?
Hey, Mommy, whoa!
What? What? What's... Oh my God, is that Krampus? Toasty? Toasty? Octavian, what is that?
Baby's a monster. This baby's a monster.
You think it's a monster?
Yeah.
Where'd it go? You think it's Andy?
Yes, they say it's
You think it's a monster?
Yeah.
You like, well, why are you saying it's scary with a smile on your face? Wait, what's that sound? What is it? Who? It's scary? Is it Krampus?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it's not Krampus. I told you Krampus is not alive.
Krampus is not alive? Well, remember, if Krampus is real, you know what to do, right, guys? You hide under your covers. It's okay. It's okay. You just hide under your covers and you think good thoughts. You just saw the monster?
Yeah, I just see the monster and I was so scared of.
And you were so scared of it?
Yeah.
Was it Krampus?
No. It was scary.
Krampus is the only Christmas time monster. There aren't any other ones to my knowledge.
That's Krampus outside of the dark.
Krampus outside in the dark, I think so.
And the Krampus have shoes, claws, even have a mask on it.
Yeah, huge claws and a scary face.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very proud of you for going and looking at Krampus. Do you think he was like a mystery? Were you trying to solve him like a mystery monster?
Yeah.
And Octavian, you just don't believe Krampus is real, right? I saw something outside. I don't know what you mean. Did you not see something outside? You said it was Indy. Indy's upstairs. She's inside.
Oh, yeah. Mommy.
You think it's Krampus? Yeah?
Mommy.
What was that? What was that? Titan, hide. Hide. You think it's Krampus?
Yes, I hide under my blanket.
You're hiding under your banquets? Oh my gosh.
On my cover.
You're hiding under your covers? Are you thinking about being a good boy? He can only find bad boys, right, Toasty? Guys, hide under your covers. Krampus can only get bad kids. He'll only get bad kids. He can only smell bad kids. He can only smell bad kids. Okay? Hide under your blankets. Krampus can only get bad kids. You already did?
I'm scared.
Well, you better be scared because that was Krampus. I think he might be gone, guys. I'm gonna close the door, okay?
Daddy, Mom,
Well, Dad's asleep. He always goes to sleep early.
I think Dad just dressed up in the monster costume.
That's a really interesting mystery-solving proposition, but I think it was Krampus. Octavian, I think it's safe to come down now. I hear Daddy. I think Krampus might have woken him up. Good job, Titan. You're okay now. You did great. High five. Good job, Titan.
Oh no, did you guys hear that?
Yes, it was Krampus. I saw him.
You did?
Yeah, do you saw Krampus?
Guess what, guys? I was down here the whole time with the video camera, so we can see if it actually happened.
Oh no! I
You
don't see
gotta
it.
close that door fast. Lock it so Krampus has to come.
We gotta always lock all the doors, right? This is why you don't leave doors unlocked, right? Because if you leave a door unlocked, Krampus may come. I think, was that door unlocked?
Yeah.
That's how he got in.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
This is why we can never leave a door unlocked.
Daddy, we just saw Krampus.
We just saw Krampus?
That can't be real.
Yeah, we just saw Krampus. Did you saw Krampus in
All right, well, I'll stop recording and we'll watch the video and see what actually came through, okay, guys?
Okay, guys.
And it was really Krampus.
Let's...
My friend, come close, for I've a tale to tell. A rumor so strange, it just might spell hell. They say Europe's strapped, no babies in sight. So the French come prowling through Africa at night. Keep your guard up tight, don't loosen your belt, or you might lose treasures you frequently felt. They'll truck them away, these natalists lie straight under Louvre, where our secrets now lie. I spoke to a trader in Bangui last week. He said nanotech is the new form of sneak. A single light touch and your pride goes zap. Then never again will you fap. So hold on to hope and hold on to more. Don't let white men come knocking your door. They'll claim they're saving Europe's fate by swiping our manhood at a shocking rate. They say that beneath Mona Lisa's grin, a secret vault holds what they smuggle in. Family jewels from far-off lands, all labeled and stored by bureaucratic hands. So heed my words, keep watch at night. Bolt up your trousers and tie them tight. In the shadow of truck lights on winding roads, carrying crates of genital loads. Some say it's myth, a tall African tale, but panic and whispers refuse to go stale. If you see a white man friend, you best run, or find yourself parted with what can't be undone. Guard your crown, hold fast your stance. Don't let them slip you into that trance. For Europe's needs, they claim to roam, but we want our pride safe here at home.